Hello. So we thought we'd do another video for you today. Today we're going to do a Christmas card for you, which is a bit different for us at the moment. I know it's only July, but we've all got to get started on these early. So we will be using Let It Snow Christmas quotes, some heat resistant acetate and embossing powder today. Let's bring up what we're going to be showing. Take this one off and we can come in a bit closer and we can go through what we're using. Okay, so to start with, the stamp sets we're using are Let It Snow. So you've got your snowflake fall here, a larger snowflake. The two sentiments say snow is falling around and let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. And then we're using the Christmas quotes. We're actually only using this stamp here out of this set, but it comes in very handy. The rest of the Christmas quotes says, it's the most wonderful time of the year, happy Christmas. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Have a holly jolly Christmas and happy new year as well. We are also using two different types of acetate. So we have the heavyweight, what I call construction acetate. So it's the 250 GSM. You get 5 sheets in a pack. And then we have the heat resistant acetate, which is much, much thinner. Again, you get 5 sheets, but you do need both types to do this. You will most definitely need an anti-static bag. So if you have one, go ahead and use your anti-static bag. We're also using embossing powders in white opal and silver sparkle. And then the Versmark ink, which is a sticky ink. And then obviously we're using our sticky glue. So we do it in the two sizes. We've got the 120ml or the 30ml. Now I'm not going to lie to you. Today's card's not a quick, simple card. It takes a little while to do. It's worth the effort when you get there. But it does take a little while to get there. Oh, I forgot to mention that we do have the foam pads back in stock again. As fast as we're getting them in, you're buying them and they're gone again. So at the moment they are back in stock. So you get 1600 foam pads on a roll, 25ml by 25ml by 2ml thick. So they're really, really good. Super, super sticky, and they go on for a long time. So let's get into what you need for this card. Okay, so let me just get everything ready so I can show you easy enough. So you're going to need 2 sheets of A4 paper. I've got it's just a plain white 300 GSM cardstock. You're going to use some heat resistant acetate. Now try and handle this as least amount as possible, and that's what you'll most definitely have to use your anti-static bag on. You're also going to use your heavyweight construction acetate to make 4 strips, or if you want 6 or 8 or however many you want. It'll make sense as we get through the card, but they're only about ½ inch thick. They don't need to be very thick. Then we have 5 sheets. Now I'm going to apologise now. It's because it's an A4 sheet of paper we're working with, makes all the cutting sizes a little bit more difficult. If anybody wants to know what they are, if you email me, I will write them down and send you them back. But hopefully you'll be able to get it from this. We have 5 pieces of cardstock here. Each one is 3 5/8 by 7.5. So we've got 5 of those. And we have 4 strips that are 5 7/8 by 1 inch. And we're just going to score them at 1 inch. I'll explain that as we're going along. So we'll get started. You're going to take your 2 pieces of cardstock. You will need a scoring board and a guillotine for this, or trimmer for this particular card as well. I'm doing this as we're going along so that it makes a little bit more sense. So we're going to cut these down. Both A4 pieces are going to be cut down to 7 3/4 inches. I have to concentrate a little bit for this bit, so sorry I'm not being so chit-chatty, and you are going to get covered in glitter, so be prepared for that. Then we are going to bring in the scoring board, and we are scoring both sheets at 3 7/8. Again, I apologise for the awkward sizing or scoring measurements, and at 7 3/4. So again, 3 7/8 and 7 3/4. You're also going to take your 1-inch pieces and you're going to score each one of those. I've already done 2, so you're going to score each one of those at 1 inch. Now I always do one side, spin it round and do the other side, because we want them to be 1 inch, and remember these are 5 7/8, so they're not quite even, so you're just going to have to work it out otherwise. So I just spin it round. It saves me having to use my brain too much. I think it's already been easy enough for this one. As I said, it's not a difficult card, it just takes a little bit of concentrating on. I'll pop this out of the way. Right, so we will now have 2 pieces like so. We're going to take 1 piece, and this looks like it's a really useless piece, a useless thing to do, but it makes such a difference when we're putting this card together. We're going to cut 1/8 inch off one side, and we're going to spin the card round, and we're going to cut 1/8 inch off the other side, which will make this piece then 11.5 inches long. You need to cut it off both sides, because otherwise you'll end up with 2 bigger panels and 1 skinnier panel, and that's what we don't want. So there, that's what I mean, it's the tiniest amount that's coming off those edges, but it makes all the difference when we get to putting this together. I'm just going to fold these. Okay, now the bigger of the 2 pieces is what I would call the front. So you're going to take the front piece. Just going to double check I have picked up the right piece. Okay, so I'm going to take the front piece and we're going to fold that in. Now you will find that one side is slightly longer than the others. There's a reason for this, and when you put it all together, it's the way it all folds flat that makes that happen. So you want it done so that the shorter of the 3 panels is tucked inside, and then the wider one is over the top. And you're thinking to yourself, what on earth is she doing all that for? Well, this will now make a little bit more sense. We are stamping onto this piece of cardstock, and if you go wrong on the 4th panel or the 3rd panel or the 5th panel, you'll curse, because you have to redo the whole thing. Hence, these pieces here are panels. Okay, so these are going to get stuck onto these cards. But I wanted to do this to show you why we don't stamp directly on the whole way around. If you want to, you can, if you're brave enough. Go for it, but I'm not. Having done it once or twice before, you learn the hard way. So I'm just putting a little border all the way around, because my panels are going to leave a border when I stick them on. So I want my front panel to be the same. Sorry, I just need to show you something else before I pop this in. We're working on the middle panel. So we're folding this in, 1, 2, and we're taping it down so we've got the middle panel on the top. And we're just, as I say, popping a little, it's about 2, probably 3 mil or 1/8 inch, whichever you work in, all the way around, just so that it looks the same as the rest of the panels that we're going to stick on this card. And as I've warned you, it's not a quick card to make, but it's worth the effort. I think this is one of the special cards that we all make every year. But I do like it. I just have to remember who I sent it to last year, so I don't send them the same one again this year, so to speak. We're then going to take the large flourish or snowfall stamp. I'm going to take the Versmark ink, and again this takes a little bit of working out to make sure you've got this all in the right place. You don't want to, if you can help, you don't want to overlap your snowflakes as you're doing this. So concentrate, look where you're doing it. If you catch the light on it, sometimes it will show you where your stamped image is, so that you can try and not line up or overlap your snowflakes on your next one, which is where it comes in a little bit more tricky. So we're just going to try and roughly, and fingers crossed, not overlap. You don't need to concentrate too much on the centre of this piece, on the front, because we're actually going to cut an oval out of the middle here, so you won't even see the centre. Again, ink up. I think I'm trying to see where I've already stamped. I think we'll go to the edge here. Hopefully that will work. And this is why we also have that smaller snowflake set that's on the Christmas quote set, so that we can fill in some gaps. Just go down with that one and peel that off. I can see where there's already some gaps, so I'm just going to go and just quickly pop those bits in on what I can see now before I put the embossing powder on. But if you're not confident to do that, wait till you've popped your powder on, and then you can go back in and put some more images on if you need to. So we've stamped that out in black VersaFine. You don't have to rush, really rush, so long as you're kind of, a couple of minutes is really all you need to be doing on that. So then we're going to take the Silver Sparkle embossing powder. Actually, I'm not going to use that one. I've got one that I've part used, so bear with me a second. That's a brand new pot, so we won't spoil it. And we're just going to tip the embossing powder over here and run that down the page. As I said, on this one you don't need to worry too much. Oh, got a mark there that don't really want to be there. A fingerprint, so we maybe should have used our anti-static bag on this one as well. I think my fingers may have been on this piece of cardstock a bit too many times today. Just going to go back over there. There's a couple of bits that I can see that I would like to get some more powder on. This is ideal for this. Look, you can rock it and roll it. I have warned you, you will be covered in glitter from head to toe. So as I said, I'm not worried too much about the centre piece here, because I'm going to be cutting that out. All I'm going to do is try and tidy up where there might have been some fingers. Pop it to one side and just pop all of this back in the pot. I also have one panel to show you, because I've done all the other panels ahead of time, so you don't need to watch me. Now bear in mind, I haven't heated that other piece up yet. I've just popped it to one side because I find it easier to just heat them all in one go. So again, we're going to ink the stamp up. Now you're not going to be cutting anything out of these panels, so be a bit more wary about where you're popping your stamp down. Think about it a little bit so that you know where you're working to. Take your ink to your stamp every time, because you need to get a really good coverage on this, because there isn't really a chance to go back in and make up any mistakes you've made on this one. Okay, don't think I overlapped. We might have got quite close with a couple of those, but I don't think I overlapped. You'll probably notice I turn the stamp around a little bit as well, and that's because I don't want all the snowflakes falling on the same, in the same way all the way down. It'll look like two long strips, and I want it to look a little bit more random than that. In there, and then I'm just going to take that that smaller stamp again, just where I can see that I've missed, like one up there. I think we will check the rest of this out before I put any more stamp on there. Again, just going to take our powder, tip it from the top and bring it down. Take the excess off and then just go in and pick up, just to cover up any bits that you might have been a bit too vicious when you knocked the excess off it. You just got to be careful where you pop your fingers when you're doing this, because you'll be rubbing the embossing powder off quicker than you can think about it. So there we go, another panel done. I think I'll just pop a little bit more powder on the bottom of that corner there. Give it a tap, and all of this excess is going to go back in the pot. I did warn you, lots of glitter. You don't have to do it with a glittery one. If you would rather it wasn't glittery, don't use a glittery embossing powder. It looks effective however you do it. So put that to one side. Now we are going to heat these. Now you've all seen me heat emboss with the crystal clear onto a black, and I say to you, it doesn't particularly like the embossing powder, which is why I do it from underneath. Well, with the glittery ones, I find that if I can manage to do them from underneath, it does hold the glitter on there a little bit better, and you don't wear as much of it. So that's what I'm going to do, but if you would prefer to heat from above, that's entirely your choice. Excuse me. Now this is going to take a couple of minutes, so bear with me a second. Leave that to cool down, mind your fingers. You also need to heat, stamp and emboss onto each one of these little strips that you've got. So you'll end up with, just grab them, 4 strips like so. Now try and avoid putting embossing powder on those ends where you've scored. It doesn't matter if you get some on there, it just makes it more difficult when you're trying to piece it all together. So you will have stamped onto those as well, doing exactly the same thing. Now I've just got to heat that last panel, which is our large piece in the middle. I'll do it as quickly as I can. I need to learn how to speed this part up on the video really, but I don't know how to, so I'm afraid you have to bear with me a minute. So you've got your centerpiece done. Then we're going to take an oval die and I'm going to place that on the middle there. Now when you stick dies down on something that you've stamped, coloured, embossed, whatever, the bit you're cutting out that you're not going to use, make your tape stick into that piece in the middle rather than on the outside edge. Because if you're on the outside edge and the tape rips or something happens, it's the middle piece you're losing, not the bit that you need to keep, and then you don't have to go back and start it again. So you're going to take your die, run it through a die cut machine, and you will end up with, as it says, hopefully, something that looks like this. So we've cut that piece out, and we actually don't need this, but you can pop it to one side and use it for something else if you want to. So we've now got our lovely panelled piece, and then we've got the smaller of the two pieces that we cut earlier. Do you remember we cut the little pieces off? Now we are going, let me grab these pieces to show you. So your 5 panels that were once looking like so now look like so. So you've got 5 panels all stamped and embossed. We are going to stick these onto the card just using sticky glue. As I've said to you many a time, cut the pieces of card that you've got down on your desk as quickly as you can. I do use the glue, a wet glue on this purely because I like that wiggle room time, I tell you that before. And as I said to you, we've got a little border all the way round. So that's why we taped that front piece to give us that border as well. And as I say, having made that mistake so many times where you've got all the way through and you've got that last bit to do and you go wrong. Or when you cut it out, the die slips or something like that and you just curse and you have to start all again. This saves that happening. It might seem like a bit of a strange way of doing it, but I've learned the hard way, so hopefully by passing it on to you. One other thing I need to say about embossing powder. Once you heat it, it can't unheat itself. It can't melt itself off. So if you haven't heated it properly, it will rub off. If you have heated it properly, it won't rub off. You will get some glitter come off because that's just the way it is, but it, as a whole, it won't come off too badly. So we've stuck a panel either side of the piece we've cut out, and then we're taking the smaller of the 2 pieces and we're sticking it on the 3 inside panels. So you're just going to stick these panels down on the inside. Some people that have done our workshops in previous times have actually made this card, but we're forever being asked at shows, because this one's always on display from this time of year onwards. How do you make that card? Will you make a video? So once we finish with doing the particular card with the workshop, then we'll make the video. So that's what we've done. I'm trying desperately not to get my head in the card again. As you all know, I'm quite good at doing that, so if I have done it, I apologise. As I say, it's not the quickest card in the world, but it's worth it. I think it's worth it anyway. So we've then got 3 panels on this is going to be the inside of our card. Okay. So we're going to take these and I'm going to pop. So we're going to piece it together like so. And then when it folds down flat. I always leave mine, okay, let's explain this. So the reason why we make this one piece smaller than the other is so that we can butt these in, they can fold down and they won't pucker inside. So I do it so that my front panel slots around the outside of my back panel, and I want these edges to line up flush to the back panel here. So here's how I do it. And watch it go all wrong now. Hopefully not. Again, I use the sticky glue so it gives me the wiggle room, and I've left that flat on the table and I've pushed that down, and those two pieces stuck together, and the same on the other side. Press that all down and it all sits in place. Okay, so that now fits into an 8x8 envelope, which is what we wanted. We're lined up at the back and we should be roughly square in the middle. That's the hard bit done, she says. Popping that to one side. We're going to take these panels we have here. I'm just going to fold these ends over. Now, as I said, you could do 4, you can do 6, you can do 2. It depends how much patience you have. But the way I've done mine is to make it the simplest I could for me. So I'm going to pop a little bit of glue on each side of these. And if I grab my box here, I pop it in the box. I level it up with my panels that I've got in there, and I've pushed it right to the back. It takes a little bit of fiddling and faffing, and just hold it there for a couple of seconds until they're dry, or dry-ish. They're not going to be 100% dry. I then take my second panel and I'm butting this one up to the edge of the last one, because that means I've got them in with a space in the middle, and I'm quite happy with that. As I said, you could put another one in here if you want to go to 6. That's your choice. Okay, I'm going to turn it over and do the same on the other side. You just have to have the patience to do the stamping and the embossing, because it doesn't happen in seconds. And other than that, it isn't actually that difficult to make. It's just a little bit time consuming. So again, I've butted it right up to the back because I want that spacing to be the same top and bottom. And that makes all the difference. And I'll just pull that tight to stick together. And the nice thing, as I said, about this card is it does fold flat, and we do send out a lot of cards at Christmas time, and so the postage is just a normal letter size postage as well on this, which is always good. So I'll just hold those together till they're dry, and then we end up with a box that's got the panels at the top and the bottom for us to fill in. And I would probably put a Christmas quote on the back here, and then that's where I would sign it. Okay, so now on to the next piece. So I'm just going to try and maybe clear up. No, let's not do the struts yet. Let's do some more embossing, because I know you all love it. So we'll just take the larger snowflake on the Let It Snow stamp collection. I'm going to take off as much of this silver as I can. As I warned you, there's going to be a lot of glitter. In fact, I'm going to flip it over actually, because I haven't got anything here to dry that, and I need it to be dry to do the next piece. So we've got heat resistant acetate. I'm going to go all over this with my anti-static bag. And then try not to touch it too much. So I'm going to take the Versmark ink and the white Opal embossing powder and ink our snowflake up. My goodness, we're at 30 minutes already. Believe it or not, the next section doesn't take too long. Now I'm not going to re-ink that, I'm just going to give myself an extra snowflake from the same ink that was already on there. Do as many snowflakes as you fancy. You can fit between 7 and 10 usually. They don't have to be perfect. If it doesn't stamp perfectly, it doesn't really matter because snowflakes aren't perfect. In fact, I reckon there's enough ink on there to get a third one out. There was. So I think I've got 6 on there. I'm just gonna, in fact I'm gonna flip that the other way around because I don't want to get silver in my white. So we've got the white Opal embossing powder. Ooh, so it's a white powder, the white base that we use for our white embossing powder, and then we have got some holographic glitter in there. Cover those and give it a flip to take your excess off, and then pop all that back in the pot. I'll flip that back so I've got my paper, my mat the way I like it round. It's curled the other way so it annoys me. So we're just going to heat these up again. I always hold heat resistant acetate in the air when I'm heating it to allow the heat to travel through, and as soon as it changes just move it along, and it will change much quicker on here than it would do on a cardstock. It really goes fast. Mind your fingers, it gets really hot. So there we go. So that's your heat resistant acetate. And again, you have to move quite quickly. It will still crinkle, even though it's heat resistant. You don't want to keep the heat on there for too long. I'm going to cut these out. You're not going to watch me cut out all of these. I'm just going to give you an idea. It's a snowflake and it's on acetate. You do not have to go in every single little nook and cranny. I personally just round off each piece, like so. Giving myself a little bit of an edge all the way around, but you don't need, if you want to, you can just cut a full circle all the way around. That's entirely your choice. As I said, this video is a little bit longer and takes a little bit more time to make this card, but it'll be worth it. Then you're really impressed when you hand out your Christmas cards. We're nearly there. As I say, it doesn't have to be cut out beautifully. I've just literally, you're not even going to be able to see it on anything I've got here that I could hold up to show you. I wonder if I could do it on some black, whether it will show up. Try and grab a piece of black cardstock. Will it show? So you can see I've literally just gone around the edges. And you need, as I said, about between 7 and 9 of these. And all I've done is popped a little gem in the centre of each one, just to finish it off really. Grab a gem, pop it in the middle, hold it down. So we've got a selection of snowflakes, and we're going to go back to our box. We have got our pieces of construction acetate. Now mine are a little, some are the same size, some are a little bit longer. I am going to just trim them so that they're roughly the same height. Roughly, no, they're roughly. Not particularly exact on this. You need to stick these in first. Now I do recommend using the red tape, red liner tape for this. If I can find the end of my red line tape. The reason for that is you need it to hold and have some to be able to take the weight behind it. Stick them right at the ends. should have done this ahead of time, sorry peoples. It'll take me a couple of minutes, I didn't think about this bit. And then we're going to stick them in behind the panel. Now you need to leave room at the sides to be able to put your snowflakes in, and hopefully they will stick. Okay, so that's a bit too long, so I need to get in there and nip that off because it's sticking out underneath. So you're going to do that. Did you? Sorry, I don't think I even did that in camera. So we've stuck it behind the panels. It's a bit long on the top too. There we go. Now I've lost the end of my tape. I'm just going to snip a little bit more off these, so I've got the room. The red line tape is just that bit stronger. You're going to be putting some weight on these, and you want them to stay where you put them. Oh, it doesn't want to come off now. There we go. So I've grabbed my box, I'll show you what I did. So I'm putting 2 on the front and 2 on the back. Now I'm not going to put them in rows if I can help it. And there. And then you're going to tape it to the bottom. 2 more to go. Sorry, I really should have done this ahead. Which was really silly of me. Again, I'm just going to snip a little bit off because they're a bit longer than I want them to be. I thought I was so well prepared and ahead of myself. Didn't think about doing this bit. So we're now going to go in the front, and I'm going to try and take them slightly off the set so that they're not in line with the ones behind, if I can, is the plan. Nearly there. We live in a really old house. Well, parts of it are really old. So if you hear creaking and moving around, that's our floorboards. Happens all the time. So I'll apologise for the additional sound effects that you may or may not be getting. I just heard them, so I figured you probably did too. So, and as I said, if you were sticking in another row, you would also need to pop in some more struts to hold it together. So we've got 4 in there now. This is the tricky bit. We've now got to try and get these snowflakes tucked inside there. So I'm going to pop some glue. Our sticky glue dries clear, so we're just going to pop a little bit of glue on the back, and with a pair of tweezers I'm going to try and slot these in where I want them to be. You could make some smaller ones with the other set of snowflakes that we had as well. The mini ones, or make some smaller ones with the big flourish if you wanted to. I haven't done any smaller ones because I just wanted to be able to show you how to do this, and otherwise I'd be spending too long trying to get them all in position. But I do think it's worth it when it's done. I do think you probably also just got my head all in there too, which I apologise for. Ooh, need to spin that round because it's... Oh, there we go. Needed it to sit on there, and it was too close to the side. No, still too close. There we go. And then it will hold on there. I'm hoping they'll all hold on just long enough for me to show you how it all stands up. So then we're going to go on the front here. Oop, fell all the way through, did you see that? Oh, now we've got catastrophe going on. Okay, fingers it is. There we go. Get that to hold on there. I'm going in with the fingers. I think I'm going to be more successful using my hands than trying to get in there with those tweezers. Oop, it flipped right off. Making me out to be a fool here, peoples. Remember, it dries. This glue dries clear, so you don't need to worry about being able to see the glue at the moment, because it will dry clear for you. One more. Don't know if I want that one there, but it needs something in there. Oh yeah, you will go there whether you want to or not. Remember, you're in charge. Now I've done this not just as a Christmas card, I've done it with butterflies in the centre, all sorts of different things. How am I going to show this? That's probably going to be our best way of showing it. I'm going to just pop a sentiment on the back, on the front here as well, just on that little bottom panel there. So I've chosen the Let It Snow, and I've just layered it up onto some silver cardstock. I think we are just about there. Now I've got to try and lift, oh, I don't really need to lift it, do I? Because you'll be able to see it better than that. Like that. So we've got snowflakes front and back, and a box card that folds completely flat to go in the post. So I will just quickly run through what we have used again so that you know, and if anybody wants the instructions on how to, or the measurements for this card, please let me know, and I will, or email us on honeydewcrafts@gmail.com. and we will send you out those measurements. So we have used, let's start again, we have some heat resistant acetate and some construction acetate. We've also got the Let It Snow stamp set, we've got Christmas quotes and the anti-static bag. We've used white opal for the snowflakes and white to make, not white, silver sparkle, and we've used the Versmark Ink Pad. Don't forget you need that anti-static bag. It's really important when it comes to doing the acetate. It makes life so much easier. So here's a couple more stamps, oh sorry, a couple more sample cards that we've used, that we've done using this one. So we've got the Let It Snow, that's just the bigger snowflake on there on a decorated background. And then we've also got this one, which again is the same kind of effect. And just pop back here. Oh, in fact, we will go to this screen so that I can just show you again what we've made. So you've got your box card, use Let It Snow, Christmas quotes, heat resistant acetate, construction acetate, and obviously the embossing powder. And we have a box card that folds down flat. Pop it in an 8x8 envelope. So for all those of you that have been asking me for such a long time how I make this card, hopefully you'll be pleased to finally get a video on how to do it. And if anybody's got any questions, please email us on honeydewcrafts@gmail.com. Everything that you've seen today can be found on our website, which is honeydewcrafts@gmail.com. No, it's honeydewcrafts.co.uk. If anybody wants to see anything else particular on some of our videos, please let us know. You can email us or catch us on Facebook. If not, we'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye.